Heyo everyone, how y'all doing? I'm here with creator of the Indiegogo comic campaign Sins of the Fae. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm here. I uh, had some beer earlier, and no, I can't talk like that too long. But I'm doing good, thanks.
Yeah. So, Sins of the Fae. Is that how you say it, Fae?
Yeah,
I
it is. You
probably
you
should have
got
asked
it.
ahead of time.
I know, right? We were just jabbering our jaws. We weren't talking about anything important.
Right. So, what exactly are the Sins of the Fae?
Well, the sins of the Fae are basically the entire family. More or less, what's happened here is that you've got these gods that are awakening under the ocean, and it's my version of Atlantis, but it kind of is probably more something like Cthulhu,
Hmm.
and or that's what it ends up being. And these creatures are kind of waking up, and they left Earth to be destroyed. They want to enslave all of humanity and kind of crush it, really. And they left it with these races to be destroyed. But the Fae found their way from other worlds into our world, and they have protected us for the longest time. And so now you run into this situation where there's basically this one family that kind of can turn back the tide, and they want them dead. These forgotten gods want them dead. So they begin to send these hounds, these like dark, sinister hounds, after the family. And the mother, who is she's a former witch, begins to get these visions. And when she realizes that her girls are in danger, she realizes that she has to gear up and get ready.
Hmm. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it starts slow. This is chapter one, book one of a 5 manuscript series.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Because I was about to say, man, this is 48 pages.
Yeah. No, this first section, and that's I wrote it to be small as well. Aim small, miss small, right?
Hmm.
So what I do is I say, okay, what it starts as is a family. It's like a domestic affair. It's a single mother. She's got 2 girls. She's got this, kind of kind of like I want to say carekeeper, but that's not the word. Caretaker, dirt, caretaker of her land, and he's this vampire that she found on the island that she sort of tends, and it just begins where she has a bad dream, and in that dream, like her girls are fighting each other and almost killing each other, and then like the caretaker CJ is nearly killed by this hound, and she freaks out and she wakes up and she's like, what's going on? This is I've had this dream forever. And you can scroll down and you can see some of the pages where this happens. Then what happens is she sees that her door's open, and she can't hear her children. So she runs down the hallway, and her front door's open. And then she falls to her knees and she's like, what's going on? Where are my kids? And that's the turn page in the comic book. And obviously, you turn the page and her daughters are there, but it freaks her out, and she's like, I have to find out what's going on. Something is, this is more than just a happenstance. It's like an itch, like she was a witch. She spoke in that language, but she doesn't speak it so well anymore, right? But it's trying to tell her something.
Hmm.
The B stands for beast. No, it stands for buddy.
So, obviously, a lot of fantasy influence. You like fantasy stuff?
I like fantasy stuff. This is a lot of like all different kinds of influence. It's got, by the end of it, you've got a lot of borrowed mythology, is what I call it. Basically, that they say that was a good artist borrow, great artist steal. So I've stolen a lot of mythology. I take a lot of different mythology and make it my own. Undead, Greek mythology like nymphs, succubi, red caps, the Piper fairy tale. Like if you want to scroll down, you can find this character. She's all in red. That's Rowena Piper Pennington.
Mm.
And Rowena Piper Pennington is a piper, like the Pied Piper of Hamelin. And the pipers in my world, I thought about it. You know, I don't know. I probably thought about it for 8 seconds while eating a Twinkie and drinking Mountain Dew. I don't know. But I decided, okay, well, wouldn't it be cool if a piper were a magical or a class of a guild of magical assassins that use music to perform, you know, their task. You know, and so that is what they are. So she is a piper, and as you can see, she's got a flute in one of her hands. That's her weapon of choice. And she is also a succubi. The succubi and the nymph are the same creature in my world. They just make a different decision. They can both like use energy of emotion to manipulate or to drain their foe, but the succubi chooses to go all the way and kill that person.
Mm.
So she is a, you know, so that she's killed somebody, and then so she gets her cloak kind of turns into these sort of like upside down succubi wings, because it's sort of like a flag, like, you know, when you take a flag and put it upside down, you're against the country, you know, you're defaming the country. And her flag, quote unquote, is upside down because she's against her own kind. You know, is what she's like. She's saying, I'm against my own kind. And then the last thing is that she is a red cap, which is a red cap was the mythology of it's like a leprechaun like creature that protects castles. And in English, like Old English mythology, it's like they protect like ruins of castles and stuff. They invite people in, and then when you come in, they kill you, and they dip their hat in your blood. So she dips her cuirass in your blood after she kills you.
She's also wielding a katana?
Yep. She is an assassin. Her sister is named Priscilla, and she looks just like her, except she's got shorter hair. It's purple, and she looks like a secretary.
All right, so we got a bard succubi who wields a katana and flute.
Yes. We're going to break this down into D&D characters. I'm down with that.
That's usually how I recognize characters who like do musical things to fight. It's just like, they're all bards.
Yeah. And I mean, and Nikki is I guess she would be a cleric in the kind of traditional sense, you know. Nikki's a child of Yggdrasil. There are like, basically she's a child, I should say avatar, if you understand that. You know, she's kind of like the human embodiment of Yggdrasil. And there are a male and female like form of Yggdrasil kind of born every generation. And there's the male form is a tree called an uruku. And it can bear any plant. Will our comments be read? Anime Sports Fan says.
They're all saying a bunch of things. Upside down is distress, not insult. Wait, she is a vampire. And she looks purty.
So yes, your comments will be read. See? She's reading them. But yeah. So go back to Nikki. She is, you know, you have the tree bears all like plants. It can grow. That's the magic of the uruku, is it can grow any plant. And then the whole idea is as above, so below. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is, if you go up till you can see if you go up to the top, you can see the logo really well. There you go. And if you look at this logo, like Xevious did a really good job on the typography of this. The logo is the story in like, you know, in what he calls a haiku. You know, it's like he said, a good logo tells the story like a haiku. It's a very short is what I mean. But if you look at it, that is a silver tree, and that is supposed to be Yggdrasil, and it bears both the sins and the fae. And that is like the point of the story, actually, is that you have, you know, this tree, which is Yggdrasil itself, and it is the bearer of all worlds. And then beneath that you have its children. One is Nikki, and one of the points is that one of the driving factors is family. Nikki's girls were not supposed to have been born. She wasn't supposed to be able to have children with a highborn, but because she is an avatar of Yggdrasil, and it can bear all worlds, the Uruku can bear all plants. She can bear any seed, including the Fae highborn. So she had children that were never supposed to be, and they are what are truly the sins of the Fae.
So you definitely put a lot of thought into this, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, you're a writer, right? So were you always planning for this to be a comic, or at one point did you want to make this into like novels?
No, I wrote I wrote it as 5 novels,
Mm.
and I took. I don't know if you've ever been to one of them. They have like book conventions where you can pay like $100, $500, something like that, and you can go see like the gatekeepers of the literary industry, which are editors and agents.
Mm.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, with query, right? So I wrote a query. I put my best suit on. I went to this convention in New Orleans. That was like, what was her name? Anne Rice was like the keynote speaker or something. And it was like, great, yay, woohoo. I paid to go see a couple of agents. And I walked in the door and the editor like dropped his head. And I was like, what, did I gain weight? Am I not as pretty as you wanted? What's going on? And he said, no, he's like, it's not that. It's just that because I'm quarter Japanese. So a lot of people, because they had me list all that, they were hoping that I looked more Japanese. And he's like, but you look like a white guy. And basically they said they could not market my book because I looked like a white person. Or
They said that right to your face?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, what do you do with that? Right. Like,
Right.
okay. He's like, yeah, he's like, your prose is pretty good. The story is great. He's like, but I can't market this. And I was like, oh, all right. So I figured, with the whole comic book movement and everything, I'm like, well, I'll give it a shot. I'll hire a good artist and try to get a good typographer. And I was able to find, somebody to make a great logo. And, and I think too, like they, because it's 3 women, one of them is pansexual and a black dude. And they're like, but you're a white guy.
Oh boy. Yeah, that is, you know what? Self-publishing is the better way to go anyway.
It's expensive. The art, I don't know, like usually like I found like the going rate for good art is about like somewhere between $150 and $200 a page for the line art.
It depends, I guess. Some people overcharge or undercharge.
Yeah. I gotta find me one of them Indian people. No, I'm just kidding. Work for a few. I want to say ruples, but I don't think they do rupees over there. I think it's something else actually. Still.
Yeah, everyone in the comments are now responding to your experience about being white.
I know, right? Welcome to leftist America.
Yeah.
Anime Sportsman says thoughts on Comicsgate and Whisper networks. They suck. I don't know.
Whisper networks no good.
I just don't see the point in them. This is already such a small industry. Why are we making it smaller?
Fair enough point.
And the other point is, I don't know, like I really hate a lot of the kind of outrage market and everything, because I just don't have the time for it. And to me, I don't know, like why don't we just get together and sell some comics?
Right. I mean, I've definitely had bad experience working with people before, but I've never been in the state of mind where I'm like, man, I hate this person so much, I'm going to ruin their life and make sure they can never get a job again.
Yeah, I mean it's completely ridiculous. I mean that's the leftist ideology, right? Or even just I don't know, cancel culture. I wrote an article about that because I had a website for a while called Insider, but that's a long story. But I wrote articles, and people used to like the articles. One that I had was that cancel culture is torching America,
Mm,
and the idea is that you know what they do with cancel culture is not what they say it is. They kind of they throw out this sort of benign presentation of diversity outreach, right? Or like uh, the disenfranchised, marginalization, and we want to help, we want to lift them up. But what it's really about is just control.
right.
It's just pure control. They want to take you out as the middleman, and they want to tell you what you like. They want to tell you what you need to buy. They want to tell you the way you have to think.
Yeah. And it makes them feel better when, companies actually do what they want because it makes them feel like that they have that power and that control.
Mm-hmm.
And then it encourages them to keep doing it, which is a pain.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing. It's like, haven't you guys already won now? Like you chased all the bigots out. They're doing their own thing, and now you're chasing them further down the road for what reason?
Yeah, right. Oh well. What are you gonna do?
Well, I think
It's,
you do
it's
what we are
always.
doing. Hmm?
What were you saying?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying you do what we are doing. You just continue to make your own stuff. You continue to make your own material and you push it forward. You
Yeah,
know,
just focus on your own life, your own little career that you got going.
right? Exactly. I mean, you continue the orgasm girls, and I'll try and continue Sins of the Fae. And I mean, I have another book called Sway that we decided to put in the same universe, so that if we wanted to put the characters together, we could.
That's gonna be
And
another comic.
yeah, that's going to be another one. It is, the whole idea of it is that it's like between heaven and hell lies our only hope, and her name is Sway.
Mm.
And the idea is again, it's kind of like I don't do simple narratives. They're always complex with different themes and everything, and that's just the way I am. So I can't do like like some animal from outer space or something. I just if I do that, it's going to have a Bible to it, and a reason, and a mythology and cosmology and everything.
Right, right.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the only way that you can combat these kind of things is you do it by making your own brand, making your brand known, and then saying, hey, I could be the next I don't know, like bad TV show. Why not? I could be the next, instead of always making another Star Trek. They could option one of us, right? I mean, if you could option, like, you're pretty. Do you look at the indie comics?
Yeah.
Like, what would, if you could option an indie comic? Like, if you're a film, representation, if you were a studio, what is the comic besides Orgasm Girl that you would option?
What, for a TV series?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, there are definitely a lot of cartoons that I would like to make, but
Like
I,
what?
I don't know. I always thought, like, well, first of all, animation is my original passion above
Mm-hmm.
all else. So I originally wanted to get into like kids' cartoons, stuff like that. Oh, I see Fresher Luke saying,
I did. I saw him.
That's the one.
Hey, he's good at animation, though. I saw his dungeon crawlers or whatever today.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've seen a couple people talking about that now that it's like kind of made more light. It was on Comfish TV's video. They gave it a
Mm-hmm.
little shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
He's got skills.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's got the skills.
So you said that you've looked at animation more than anything else?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And maybe comics are a stepping stone for me to eventually get into that area, but for now I gotta stick with what I got.
Yeah, well, I mean that sort of, I don't know. I mean that's a good stepping stone, isn't it? Because that's a lot of the same skills, I would think. The storyboarding, the kind of visual storytelling, understanding that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I've done storyboarding and like mini animations before, but nothing too major, I guess.
Can
But
you see? I can't draw, so I can't like do my own storyboarding and layouts and stuff. It kind of sucks. All I can do is I can kind of imagine it in my head, draw it out, and then I have to have somebody do the layout for me.
mm, right. You see, I'm working with Sanity on this comic, and there's a lot of things that I feel like I'm not good at explaining, so I'll end up just drawing roughs of the pages and then handing it to him, and then we go back and forth until we agree on what the page should look like.
That's cool though.
Yeah, it is good to be able to clearly communicate like what you want,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you know,
You
story.
can storyboard roughly. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. When I draw stick figures, they look bad. You know?
Yeah, I've done storyboards for someone before, and he would send me like really rough looking images of his own drawings, and I would kind of translate what I thought he meant by them.
Yeah. I mean, I've run into a couple of times where my artist will, I don't know, like it's just a lot of scratch and swirls, you know, and it's almost like a Rorschach test to try to figure out what it is.
Right, right.
And I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, I think it's sort of like this. And then he draws, you know, and then I get a layout later. I'm like, that's not what I thought I was looking at. I'm like, I didn't approve that. We have to go back. You know, wait, what is it, Jack and Lost? We have to go back.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to approve like the first layout sketch if you're not really sure what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
it's also
exactly.
in the neck when they go through all the work of finishing it up, and you're like, wait, no, not that.
I know. Oh, Xevious is in chat. That's my colorist and typographer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there he is.
He's been on a few streams with you, right?
Yeah, he's been on it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was the guy I asked it. I was like, can he come? But he didn't wake up. So there he is now. He just woke up.
Cool. Does he want to come in or?
I don't know. Xevious, do you want to come in? He has a deep voice of like, hello.
Oh, deep voice time.
Oh, yeah. Like, you know, he could like rumble, you know, the Ozarks or something.
Good to know.
Yeah. He's an interesting character.
All right. So, how many books did you say there were going to be of these?
Oh goodness, I don't know. There's gonna be, you know, there'd be a lot. No, pirate all of a sudden. I mean, like I said, not every chapter is going to translate. This first chapter translated to like a 48-page book pretty easily. Like, I mean, I you know, had to kind of condense it and be like, okay, how do I tell this visually in an interesting way, or where we can at least be in an interesting place, or, you know, something else. And but that's not always going to happen. I mean, there's about like 5 books. They're about anywhere between 17 and 24 chapters a piece. So if I were to be able to do all of them, if I was able to get the fanage and the fundage to say, yeah, we love this, we want you to do, you know, go from, you know, birth to abortion, then it would be probably 70 to 80 books, somewhere in there, I would say.
Oh, wow.
Comfortably, yeah. I mean, this book goes into crazy places. Like we're doing a scene right now that it's an homage to True Romance. You ever seen that? It's an older movie, so you probably haven't,
No.
but it's like an homage to True Romance where you have CJ and the two girls, and he's taking them to this like seedy hotel. He's taking them to this like not hotel but seedy restaurant where this sort of like kingpin of Las Vegas is running everything. So he's going inside, and it's an actual restaurant that I've been to called the Pepper Mill.
Mm.
So I mean, you have a different you have them going in to see this guy Dave Wolf, who's like a marked werewolf, which are these werewolves that we were afraid of werewolves, so we trained them, or we chained their change within them. We kind of like carve these silver runes in their arms usually, and the way that I got the idea is because I was watching my friend Dave Wolf. He's an actual rockabilly musician, and he has these he has tattoo sleeves, and I was like, why would you like get tattoo sleeves, like other than you just like them and they're cool, right?
Right.
And so I thought, well, what if you were like trying to hide a scar or something, And so then I was like, oh, well, that'd be kind of cool. So they came up with they're this like warrior culture because they changed the runes that are inscribed in them, keep them from changing, but they don't keep them from the lust when the moon is out. So it's like withdrawal, So you imagine like just that pain the whole time. You know what I mean? When the moon's out. And in that time, I mean, like the only thing that sort of satiates that lust is just brutal violence.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So I made up this whole mythology, and he became the kingpin of Las Vegas because one of the main characters of the story, named Owen Tiernan Summerlee, who's the mythology he's based on, is the huntsman. Mm. And Owen tells him like he helps him out of a jam and heals his friend, and he says, in exchange for this, you got to take over Las Vegas because I'm going to need you to do a favor for me one day. And this is the favor. He's got to keep the girls safe. So there's a whole thing here where they're going to this hotel, I keep saying hotel because they do eventually go to a hotel, but they're going into this restaurant where he's kind of, it's sort of like, think of like Constantine with, what's his name? Keanu Reeves back in the day where they go to that one hotel and like, there are all these people that petition the demons and the angels for favors, or even like Midnight's Bar where there's like a little bit of everything. I guess it'd be more like that, where they're going down into this, kind of seedy restaurant / bar kind of thing. There's all these different races, and one of them like tries to grab one of the girls, and CJ puts him in a headlock. That kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
The Dr. Disrespect. Sorry.
Dr. Disrespect. I thought he was banned. He got on somewhere else?
He's on YouTube.
Oh, he's on YouTube. Gotcha. I heard he was banned from Twitch and he's going to sue them or something.
I mean, I don't know. I heard like he was on there for a while. He talked about Twitch for like 5 minutes, and then he started doing these really weird things. He was like, I don't know. He has these, what do you call them? Like the green screens. You know what I mean? So he'd like, follow me, guys, follow me. And there's like a green screen of like a gym that's empty. And he'd be like, we're doing stretches. And he's all barefoot. And he's like, yeah, touch your toes. Come on. I can see how he's entertaining, I mean, he's very affable, very like energetic dude.
Yeah. I know people who watched him, but I didn't, just mostly because I'm never on Twitch.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I used to watch Twitch. I watched it for a very, very short time because it was, I don't know. It was very easy to see that there was a lot of thottery. Yeah. And a lot of like, I don't know, like I don't hero worship. Like I've never been somebody that was like, oh my God, like I have to, get this person's autograph or something. I just never cared.
Mm.
I've met being in aviation and doing and working for a lot of like major companies and stuff. I've had a lot of really high profile clients. Like I've worked for Bill Cosby, I worked for Alan Jackson, I worked for um, a couple sheiks, which you wouldn't know their names, but I mean, these people had like some of the most ridiculous things. Like, I don't know, this one guy had an atlas, a world atlas that was made of like gold, electrum, silver, and 3 or 4 different kinds of gems. It was like $750,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but you know, uh, so I mean, I don't know, like I've just never had hero worship. So when I went to Twitch and I saw everybody was like, what do they call it? Simping?
Yeah.
Where they kind of go in there and they go, oh my God, like, I love you. I would do anything for you. Especially, it was kind of funny because it was like the girl simps are not nearly as bad as the guy simps, in my personal opinion. Like
Yeah.
there are, like women that simp for guys, but it's just like, oh my God, are you going to take your shirt off? You know, whereas the guys are like, what would make you happy if you were married? And I'm like, wow, bro. I don't know. Can you imagine going up to just a random encounter, college, bar, party, whatever, and be like, what would make you happy? Being married.
No, yeah. I know a lot of guys who are definitely like very, very quick to jump on the marriage ship. It's mostly because they're desperate, of course.
Do you mean, what do you mean? Like that's how they are with you, or just in general?
Oh, just in general. It's like, oh, I've been dating this girl for
Wow.
2 weeks. Better ask her to marry me before she leaves. It's like, oh my God,
Wow.
no. Stop. But,
That's just,
you know.
it says that's not wrong. Maybe telling a thought she needs to be married isn't simping. Eternal teenager voiced weirdo. Okay. I don't know what he's saying, but sure. That is a painting in the middle there by Xevious. We had there's another video that we're going to do at some point, and it's being done by this guy named by Ryan from Ascension Cinema. And he's had some problems with his computer, though, so he hasn't been able to put it together. And he wanted a picture of an uruku. Remember, I told you about the plants that can bear any plant. They're silver oaks that can bear any plant. And from their branches, and they're based on what's called a spider oak,
Okay.
which are just these kind of, like very spindly oak trees that have these gnarled reaching branches, like just 1,000 fingers or tendrils reaching out in all directions. And the idea is, like I said, like as above, so below. So there's like the root system does the same thing, right? And as the roots grow underneath, all of the plant life above them has a sort of chance. Think about like D&D, right? Like a one in a, like, I'd probably make it like a 1 in 1,000. You had to roll like a 0 and then a 1 on the 1 percentile dice, right? And if you can do that, then you would create what's called, I call a vestige, or a remnant rather. And the remnants are like, basically they're the same. They're like, silver blade of grass, or like a silver daisy. And you can see one. I don't know if it's in there. I could share and show one to you if you want to look. But there's a scene where we have one where I call remnant daisy scene, which is where Nikki goes to this field, and these daisies are sort of like the Fae. Like, even if you destroy it, like if you tear it up, it'll regrow the next day. At dawn, it will come back. And the whole idea of that is she needs to consume its energy. Yeah, I don't think it's there. It's here, right here. Let me see. I'll share real quick if you want to share my screen. right there.
Okay. I see.
You see there's the flower. And then in this case, this is kind of a funny story. My artist didn't want to, like, in the book, what it is she cuts herself with a rock and she drips blood on the daisy. And it sort of identifies who she is to the flower, is the way I saw it. But my artist he's very, I guess, like, stalwart Christian, and he didn't want to make blood magic for the mage. So I was like, okay, fine, just make her eat it. And then,
Weird
huh?
thing to have a problem with.
Right? But I was just like, okay, she just eats it. Fine. It grows back. I mean, it's the same kind of concept. So you can kind of, she goes into this field and she sees, so she's in this world. She's on this island called Padoros, which is a volcanic island, and the sun is red. And I thought Xevious did like a great job. You can see kind of the like the forest in the background here, and just the red sun behind her. And then as she eats it, you know, then she casts her spell, and she says, in this world or the next, blood calls to blood. And she's trying to find her grandmother. She's going to the world of the dead to look for her grandmother.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, we thought so. You know, I'm looking at Xevious's page here. So that's cool. And this is one of the other pages we have where this is where Rowena and Nikki kind of face off for the first time, where Nikki realizes, like, so you're the one. And it's kind of funny. The description that I gave here for this face was, I know this bitch from somewhere, but I don't know where. So, you know, she sees her and she's coming down, and this panel's great. And basically this is where she's like, you know, after I'm done with you, I'm going after your girls. And Nikki says, over my dead body. This is a cool thing we have in this story. These letters here are an actual runic script that Xevious created. And they are made from a combination of Klingon, Icelandic, and Viking runes. And so we're going to put a caption that's going to be, you know, white box with black letters, so they're real easy to see. And the reason why is because this is an actual, like, we wanted to kind of make this sort of a visceral tertiary read where she's, you know, she and other magical creatures are able to shout this language. It is the actual language of creation, right? And with everybody who buys a book, you get a runic decoder bookmark so that you can follow along with that language.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm sure people will be totally stoked on that.
Yeah, I think people will enjoy that. You know, that's one of the, I don't know, that's one of those things we usually get somebody going, oh, that sounds so cool. And they're really going on Simpson thoughts.
Yeah, you know, now that you brought up the topic of Twitch thoughts, everyone's distracted.
Right?
They're like, someone said thought? What?
What? Huh? Squirrel? You should be married is a simp line.
What?
Oh, no, I'm just reading their comments. I'm sorry.
So you got a couple original paintings that you're selling off?
Well, no. What that is it's a Xevious is we wanted to, because everybody said they wanted original art, and like Joe said that he didn't know if he could do it. So what we did is we got a hold of I got a hold of Xevious, and Xevious said, you know what, I will do it. I'll like offer a 12 by 12 canvas, you know, whatever art they want. I mean, it, you know, I guess technically it doesn't have to be Sins of the Fae, but it'd be kind of weird if it wasn't. But you have a 12 by 12 original art, and it comes with, you know, your a comic with the cover of your choice.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, you know, I mean, if you want want something classy, you know, you want to classy up the joint a little bit.
Yeah. Do you have plans for like how you're going to be shipping the canvases?
Well, he was going to take care of that. So but we put it into the, I mean, all of that is put into the cost and the shipping cost of it. So I mean, I mean, he sent them before, so I mean, I'm sure it's going to come safe.
I gotcha.
If not, he'll just have to remake it, do it again. Dance, monkey, dance.
Do you have any plans for this to like go into stores or go digital anywhere? Or
I mean, no, I would. I mean, it's not. I'm not against it by any means. You know what I mean? But it would be the kind of thing that would have to be the. It would have to be the right environment. It would have to be. I mean, I don't know. Like this is 48, so it would need to be what, like half that, like 24 pages. It makes sense. If we're, or I guess I could put it in like a sort of like a, what is it, the manga omnibus where it's like 200 pages.
yeah, you could do that.
Something to that effect. I mean, I would love to do that. I would like to, I'd love to just like have it be a, I don't know, franchise of some kind. Like, I mean, I don't want to say like Harry Potter, but when I say Harry Potter, people know what I mean. But just something, like that, where a lot of people know it. Obviously, yeah, that'd be great. It wouldn't. I think it's the kind of thing. There's a lot of elements to the story that, and I think that's what stories are supposed to do. Like, I think even escapism and fantasy and that kind of thing, it helps us grow.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's a lot of elements to this. There's xenophobia, there's politics, there's a lot of different things that I talk about, which are, dealt with in reality with humanity. I mean, I have a PsyD in clinical psychology. So, and I have a bachelor's in economics. I understand a decent amount about logic, and I understand a decent amount about, people and behavior. And I wrote it to be not necessarily like fantastic characters that you could never see yourself as. I actually wrote it to be that these characters are people that just have a different tool set than you do. The magic, the different kind of technology and stuff, it's just a different tool set, but they still deal with problems, and they still go through the same basic behavioral mechanisms that anybody would.
Right.
Is that a little too much?
Well, I don't know. I'm tired.
I feel you. Like I said, I've been up all day too, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's one of those days, it seems. I don't know.
Well, because of the, you said it was the weather, right? Up in the mountains.
Yeah, it's been raining all week. Sometimes it just puts you to sleep, man. I don't
know. I could see that, I mean, I live in Charleston, so it's always bright here, and it is always just super hot. Well, it has been anyway recently. Like it seems like every day is like 95 and humid.
So you got two covers people can pick from. Were they done by different artists, or?
Nope, they were both done by Joe. It's the same as the interior. It was actually that the first cover. Actually, both covers were pages that we decided would be covers. Which is kind of like, I don't know, like I wrote this, that was supposed to be sort of the last page of the book, the first cover. And it was, there would be a reckoning, like I'm coming for you kind of thing. And I thought that's going to be a great back page. And he was like, nope, it's a great cover. You'll have to think of another page.
Yeah, well, they do definitely work as covers. That is true.
Yeah. And then the other one is that page is still in the book, actually, but we changed the color of it to be more ethereal, more magical.
Yeah, I definitely like the coloring. It's very, very nice palettes.
Oh well, you're gonna make Xevious happy. I'm sure he's grinning like a Cheshire cat. We get, I don't know, like I had a couple what do you, progressives, Marxists, whatever you want to call them. They came and they were like, I showed them some of these covers and they were like, you know, this is objectively bad, right?
People are always saying shit's objectively bad that isn't really. It's like, I perceive it this way, therefore it is.
Right? 2 + 2 = 5. Did you see that recently?
No.
You haven't seen that? Oh my gosh.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Is a big thing on like the progressive movement is recently decided that they want to push. This is a Marxist thing. It's 2 + 2 = 5, and the idea of it is that you can change the semantic definition of something to be whatever you want. Because if 2 + 2 always = 4, then that means that, you know, the establishment is deciding what's happening, and so 2 + 2 = 5 is the people. It's really dumb.
Yeah, it does sound pretty dumb, but it doesn't surprise me anymore.
You know, it's unfortunate, right?
Right.
I mean, it's one of the, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, we know that you do learn in like calculus, you know, like 1 + 1 doesn't always = 2, you know, because one is not always one definable thing. It could just be, you know, like 1 + 1 = 1 big applesauce, you know, that's not 2. So, you know, something like that. Like we've got, you know, we have certain things like that, but to say 2 + 2 = 5 and just to say, oh, it's because, you know, the establishment, and it's like, oh, just shut up, go away.
Stop it, Twitter. Stop.
That's usually what I tell them. You know, I mean, they have, I don't know, these people, they're just kind of ridiculous. You know, I don't know if you keep up with some of the stuff that's going on in like Portland and all that kind of junk. It's
not really, but I've hear about it every now and then. Mostly try to tune it out to like just focus on my work, but you know, news is always on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I try to like keep my head down and just sell the comic and do some marketing and do some like writing. But it is, I don't know, it's just such a pervasive thing. It's always there. You know, the whole idea of I don't know, like what was it the other day? You know, it was like 2020 bingo, right? Like, did anyone have irradiated ants? You know, where they had the cannibal ants that escaped the nuclear silo from Russia.
Oh my god.
I'm not kidding.
I did not hear about that at all.
There were these ants that are apparently trapped under a former, you know, Russian nuclear silo or bunker, and they just escaped. And what's funny is they don't really care about they're not actually like, you know, it's not like a 50s, like a radiated ant. They're going to get 30 feet tall or anything like that. It's that basically they should be dead. And they should all be dead. They have no food source. They had no way to survive. There was nothing under there. So they started eating each other. They were literally like, you know, they would hatch their own babies and eat them. You know, they created an ecosystem that they could survive on, but now they've escaped and they're going to be exposed to, you know, everything else. And they're like, oh, these poor ants, they're going to be destroyed from the earth. And I'm like, they're ants.
Fucking Russia, man.
In Russia, ants find you, you know. Some guy sent me a picture earlier of like it was in South Africa or something. There's a hippo right outside of a river chasing some old naked guy. And I'm like, that's not how you play Hungry, Hungry Hippo.
Oh, God. So to see some people saying that the mythology could be intimidating for new readers, what do you think about your many lores?
I think I wrote it specifically to fit in with the character. It never becomes the character. The reason why mythology and those kind of things become too intimidating in any kind of story is because it becomes the character, and then you have to know it to know the character. But you don't have to know the mythology to know any of these characters.
Well, certainly is helpful.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be, it's like, oh, you learn this as you go. Like they talk about, oh, you're this. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. This is happening. Why is this happening? Because of that. It sort of like happens. I wanted everything to happen in conversation, but not in what I call like exposition laden conversation, where they have where it's like, oh, you are going to the blah, blah, blah because blah, blah. Yes. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, ha, 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 ha. It's not like that. It's like basic conversation that they're having. And, like, I don't know, like CJ is snarky. And when he first meets Nikki after she's come back and her grandmother's kind of sacrificed herself and she's able to learn spells, she casts a spell for the first time and she kind of glows. And CJ's like, when did you become a nightlight? And then she's like, well, since a few hours ago. And he's like, are you going to tell me about that? And she's like, no.
Yeah, I've definitely read entire comics where it's all just exposition, and it makes me want to rather die than finish it.
Oh, you were showing me that one. Was it HXO, right? Or something?
Oh, Hunter x Hunter, right? Yeah,
there was one picture. It was like one, and then it was just like literally like a brick of text.
Believe it or not, that is a super popular manga series.
I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of one of the things that manga does better than we do is the different genre. And it almost seems like some genre are just there just to be there. Like they don't really make money. They're just there.
Maybe.
But I'm with you though. I mean, there's comic book guys that I don't know, like Scott Snyder is very, very heavy in words. And if you've read like, was it From Seven to Eternity? Rick Remender.
Never read it.
It's a, I don't know, like if you like fantasy, you'd like it. It's a good book, but it is literally like everything that you read with Remender needs a Bible. like he has to give you a Bible first before you can understand the characters.
Yeah, that's really brutal.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't want to do with this story. So I kind of wrote it to be sort of the opposite of that. Like it's just, it comes off like sort of like a dysfunctional family, but it just happens that, gods are trying to kill them, but you don't find that out so much later. So.
Yeah. Right.
But before that, it's like I don't know. It's not quite a sitcom, but it is kind of like in that vein, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a particular talent to be able to display information for the audience to understand while also not talking down to the audience and making them feel like it's all just one big exposition.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially with comics, because there's a lot of stuff that you can't tell the audience. You have to show it visually.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there were some parts of this that I wanted to show. Like there's one scene where CJ's fighting the hound, and he damages the hound, and he cuts part of it off, and that should kill it. And then later on you see it coming at him again with that part still gone. So you realize that without me telling you, oh, that thing's like an undead. That thing, something's wrong with it. That's not right. I don't have to say, oh my goodness, it's a vampire hound,
Right.
You see what it's doing, and I don't know. I like to believe that my audience, can think for themselves. Maybe that's wrong, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. I don't know.
Is there vampires?
Talking about?
Yes, there are vampires. There's vampires in the world. There's werewolves. There's zombies. There's which magic assisted mechanized robots.
Everything exists.
Pretty much, yeah. Literally, like I wrote it so that any demographic, origin, mythology, or pantheon could exist. It just has to go through my own personal lens, so it becomes something different than you're used to.
Yeah. I think you can attract a lot of audiences that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if you scroll down here until you see, like it says, so here's the pitch,
Right.
and you'll see these like big creatures right there.
Mm.
Oh, right there. Yeah. You see those? Like those two guys are, in my world, those are undead. Those are ghouls. You know, and the way that I look at ghouls is there are these sort of like policing spirits that inhabit the space between the living and the dead, right? Where those spaces where the living and the dead can share space, and in that there's a covenant. The living can share space with the dead, but they can't talk. They're not supposed to talk to them. And when they do, you break the covenant, then the ghouls rise, and they just sort of like take like form with whatever mass is around them. So we've always seen them as bodies because the mass that was around them was, you know, a body in a graveyard. But if you go to their world, it can be anything. So as you can see, like there's, you know, a bunch of them at that one big one's feet, and then he's got like a chimney and rocks and, you know, crystal and all other kind of stuff. And then he throws, you know, he's throwing another one because it's got some sort of like, you know, green amorphous mass that he's using it like a bomb. So he's trying to blow up a barrier. He's literally throwing his buddy like a grenade.
It's like something straight from a video game. The grenade.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing, right? But yeah, I mean, there's everything. There's, you know, any mythology that you can think of exists in some way. You know, there are Kirin. You know, I don't know if you know who those are. Kirin, they're like Japanese dragon horse looking things.
No, I'm not really super familiar.
It's, if you've ever seen like pictures of like feudal Japan, or even China actually, and you know, like at our steps, we have the lions. The lions came from kind of like the English mythology. And over in Japan, at their steps, they have these weird, like, you know, dragon head looking things. Those are Kirin. They're guardians of a home. Same kind of thing. And so yeah, you know, I created like these like Kirin. They travel in prides like lions, you know, but they're different ones, and every like 1 in 1,000 is this like Thunderhoof, which is like a dark blue that is summoned. They can ride the storm and summon lightning and all kinds of stuff. So yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have a good idea every once in a while.
So I guess we're nearing the end-ish of the stream. I don't know if you want to give everybody your pitch for the comic.
Forgotten gods are awakening, and you know, they want to enslave humanity, and only one family can stand in their way, and you know, that is Nikki Caramore and her daughters. And you know, if you want to find out what happens to the world and what happens to her children, then you know, come check out Sins of the Fae. It's a great book. It is a layered, interesting narrative that you can get into on the surface just because it's great art and, you know, awesome typography and awesome pictures. Or if you want to get into it and dive into the narrative and you know, create your own ideas of what everything is, you can do that too.
All are welcome.
That's right. You'll just be wrong, and I'll be right. No, I'm just kidding.
I guess for the last 2 minutes we could look at the chat. I don't know if they're going to be asking too many great questions, but sometimes, you know, sometimes they'll get invested and say things that are interesting.
Yes.
Dead inside. Okay.
I know. Well, that's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. Sorry about that.
I don't know if it's better to be dead inside or outside. You know, I'm not sure. Like, if you looked dead but you're not, like, wouldn't that kind of suck too?
Mm.
But let's see what it is. Sukune Ente and Raikyo are supposed to be Kirins. They're very versatile in terms of design. Yeah, they are actually. Like a lot of people see them in different ways. Sometimes they're like deer, sometimes they're like horses, sometimes they're, I mean, they're all different kinds of things, but they're always, quadruped, scaly, and kind of dragon-esque. Is that all you write it and do the art? What?
I think they're asking if you're writing and both doing the art. He is not.
No. I have no artistic talent. It's difficult. Like, I don't know. I have to get like 10 approvals before I even like a layout because I'm not sure.
That does sound like a huge pain as far as getting everything done goes.
Yeah, it's just a matter of I mean, I know it looks cool to me, you know what I mean, but there's a certain function of design within comic books and everything, and just the visual storytelling, and sometimes I don't catch that, and people will be like, this blah 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 blah, and I'm like, oh.
Oh, that's a good question. What's the age rating?
I would say if you are a parent of a parent that would give your kid something like Treasure Planet, or Treasure Island, or Treasure Planet, Treasure Island, or Tom Sawyer or something like that, then it's all ages. There's not going to be any graphic sexual content. There's not going to be any, there might be like a couple of cuss words here and there for like pointed emphasis, but that's it. Other than that, there's not going to be anything, and there's nothing in there that there are going to be serious emotional beats down the road. Like, I mean, eventually she finds her husband, and the first thing she does is hit him.
Right.
Because it's not a fairy. It is a fairy tale, but it's not the kind of fairy tale where like everything. It's like a Grimm's fairy tale.
Okay, so like PG-13 or ages 10 and up type thing.
Yeah, I would say maybe. I'd say PG-13. We'll go, just to be safe. We'll go PG-13.
I got you. And someone asking, Danfan, are you 12 years old for real? No, I'm 23.
I didn't think she sounded 12.
I've definitely been mistaken for being 12 years old more than once.
Really?
I guess I just look young for my age. I don't know.
Is there any action involved? Yes.
I would sure hope so. With all these pages.
Yes, there's where, where she takes on the ghouls, and she kind of like assumes like the power she's always had. The whole idea for Nikki is that this first book is Nikki becoming the hero she never wanted to be. She's a reluctant hero. She never wanted to be a hero, but her daughters are in trouble, so she's going to become a hero for them, and then because the world needs it for the world itself. So there's a lot of action there. There's a lot of action for CJ is literally a vampire assassin. So
well, someone asking another interesting question. If you were to put this on a bookshelf, what would be the possible shelf mates for the concept and genre? So I guess like what would you compare it to story-wise?
Oh, good Lord. I mean, the closest thing I could think of would be like something along the lines of Mortal Instruments, but written a little bit darker. Just in only Mortal Instruments, because I hate the idea of humans not knowing what's going on. You know what I mean? And so in the book and in the story, like humans are perfectly aware of everything. Except for like the awakening gods, they're kind of hiding behind a sort of facade. But like the humans are not unaware of the Fae. They actually work with the Fae to create a system of travel between the worlds. And so there's no like veil or anything like that. You know what I mean? But it is still kind of an alternate reality sort of thing. So like, oh yeah, or like was it Jim Butcher, Dresden? Like that.
Okay.
It's a borrowed mythology, alternate history, but it has a few twists.
And someone else asking, is the first book self-contained? So is it like its own story within a much bigger story?
Yes. The first story is literally, like I said, is mostly just it's Nikki coming to grips with what she has to be to protect her family. And so that is a story within itself. And then, it does what I think a good story does is you pose a question at the beginning of the story. By the end of that story, you answer whatever that question was. In this case, the question for Nikki is, what is happening to, like what's after my girls? And she finds that out. And then it's, the question becomes, can I become strong enough to protect them? And that answer is yes, she can. And you find out the way that happens, but along the way there are more questions posed, so that you leave those dangling bits if people want to pursue them. And then there are going to be like 3, I think 4-page short stories that are kind of vignettes into the future that you're going to see.
That's interesting. Yeah, I always like it when comics, because you can't. Sometimes you jump into a series and you're like in the middle of it, so sometimes it helps to have its own self-contained story.
Mm-hmm.
You like sold on the rest of the series.
Yeah, and well, I wanted to show some of the other parts of the world. You know what I mean? So we have like there's this place called Airlie Cove, which is kind of crazy. Airlie Cove is it's an amethyst geode bookended by these huge gleaming spiral white towers, and it is an actual like a shopping mall. Like you walk into it, and it's the inside of it was built by these pirates that got they were trapped because they went into this cave, and the cave led deep into the the actual land, the island itself. But then the water pulls out when the tide came out, so it left them, left their boats on land, so they didn't know what to do, and it was for weeks. And so they like walked up and they found this big area, so they literally like built a shopping mall on the inside of this geode, and it's kind of like a flea market outside, and then this thing. But then there's also what they call a ferryman, which is a sort of a guy, a person who will send people to the other worlds illegally, like without, because usually it's like sanctioned, right? So they will go and they'll put them through they'll put them through like illegally, like a black market kind of travel. And so Nikki's trying to get the girls like to safety. So we have a 4-page story where she's, they're running into Airlie Cove. And like, I think I showed you that scene earlier where she steps in front of the burning wagon and takes on Rowena because Rowena wants to get her girls. And she's like, no, you can't have them.
Mm.
So, we have that as a story, and they kind of, you see a little bit of that and what's going on there. And then there's a later one where the girls are with CJ and they're in Las Vegas. So you get to see a lot of cool things with, do I ever have trouble coming up with names? All the time. Especially because I'm kind of picky with my names. I like them to sound rhythmic. Like I don't know. Like I wanted, like the girls' names are Adira Rose Caramore and Kaylee Jade Caramore.
I think depending on like what genre you're writing in and what emotion you kind of or feeling you want to capture when you think of that character, you'll think of a certain sound and then try to get a name that matches that sound.
Yep. I do that, or I'll do sometimes I do that every once in a while, like the random name generator.
Oh, yeah, I've done those too.
And I usually just do that to like get an idea, like, oh, I kind of like that, that many syllables, or something.
Right. Thank you, Matthew Porter, for the donation. Cool to see creators helping out other creators. Well, I do my best.
It's definitely fantastic.
It's fantastic. It's amazing. We're all just chilling.
Right?
All right. Paul asking, is there any perks for backing? I guess he means besides the book.
I'll
Well,
love you forever. I don't know. What do you want? You get right now. You get the runic decoder bookmark, the pins and stickers. If we can get it to 7,500, everybody's going to get a patch. We're going to design a patch that people can put on, like if you buy the hoodie, you could put it on that, or if you want to buy, like, if you have a jacket, you could put it on your jacket, something to that effect. If we can make it before the book goes to print at 15K, we have a third cover that we're going to make available, that Xevious designed and created. Name a character Trish.
No character. I don't understand. I think we're gonna wrap it up for tonight.
You're like, and on that end.
All right, time to go back to bed.
Well, thank you for waking up waking up from your slumber to come check me out and help me out with this.
No problem. Hope you can get up to your stretch goals and get that monies, get more books out there for the future. So with that, I will say good night to you and good night to everyone else. Have the good rest of your day, guys. Goodbye.